listening to part 2 of our 20-part series, Marvelous Mints, The Wise Woman Way, with Susan Weed at Time Monk Radio. Hello, Susan. Welcome back to Time Monk Radio.
Hi, Gemini. Did you have a cup of mint tea last week?
You know, I have a lot of mints growing in my garden. Some of them I didn't realize that were mints. And so I did explore a little bit with some that I didn't realize.
Which ones?
Well, I have the wild bergamot, and I also have horehound, but I'm not quite sure what to do with that. You're right, it is bitter.
I mean, there's bitter, and then there's bitter, and then there's horehound.
Yes. And, of course, one of my favorites, lemon balm. I love lemon balm.
Melissa. Isn't it interesting how many girls are named Melissa because their moms loved lemon balm when they were pregnant?
Yeah, that's neat.
So you didn't realize that lemon balm was in the mint family?
No, I did realize that lemon balm was, and that's one of my favorite evening teas. But I didn't realize horehound was.
Aha. Right, because we think of the mint as being pleasant.
Yes.
Right. When it sneaks up on us with those bitters, we go, what are you doing here?
Right.
But it does have a little bit of a minty aftertasting with that unpleasantness. Many people are unaware that lavender is a mint.
Yeah, that was surprising to me as well. I love lavender.
Right, and rosemary as well, because rosemary is about as big and as shrubby as a mint will get.
Yeah, I love rosemary too. You know, and I always thought it was because it smells like Christmas to me. Rosemary does, so I didn't associate it being a mint.
And isn't that wonderful? Because that was just what Barbara Perry Lawton was saying in her book about mints, right? That the smell of the holidays is the smell of some mint.
Yes.
And those smells are so evocative and carry memories back and forth through time for us. I really feel that smell and aroma is our time machine.
It is, truly.
So let's talk a little bit about those smells and those aromas in the mints this week and get some idea of where they're coming from, what they are, what they do, and so on. But I want to start with just a little bit of herbal lore. And this is from Barbara Perry Lawton's book, Mints, A Family of Herbs and Ornamentals. And she talks about the language of the mints. And she says there was a language of flowers. And the origins of this language of flowers goes back many, many centuries to the Mid-East. And that's when people first started sending floral messages. So in other words, you would send a bouquet to someone, and you would very carefully choose which plants were in the bouquet because each plant would have a different meaning. When someone sent a piece of Melissa, the one that you were saying, oh, you know, you really like that. So if you sent someone a piece of Melissa, it would be sympathetic to me, be pleasant to me, don't misuse me. Or to put it very, perhaps crudely, be sweet to me, right? Because we think of lemon balm as being very sweet. So, as we recall, many Europeans decided to go to the Mid-East for reasons they found worthy, but historically we don't find worthy anymore. And they kind of picked up on this idea of the language of the plants, the symbolism of the plants, and a way to use it as kind of a secret way to get things across to people. This use of plants in this way reached its absolute peak, however, in England in the Victorian age. And two things really came together to make this so useful. And one was that it was pretty popular during that time for friends and lovers and would-be lovers to send arrangements of dried flowers and little nosegays to each other. And also, of course, as we recall in the Victorian times, you weren't supposed to even think about, that. And so if you wanted to even discuss it at all, you couldn't use words. You had to use flowers. And so we think of it as the language of flowers. But, of course, the mints were included in, and not just for their flowers, but for their scents. Garden time means take courage. Be courageous. Be active. Do what you're thinking of doing. Lavender says, I'm not so sure that I can trust you. And I find that a very interesting meaning for lavender. Because like the Melissa, in a way, the lavender is quite sweet, and yet it's irritating in a way that the lemon balm is not. I'm not sure that I can trust you, and I do not understand you, are the two meanings for lavender. Pennyroyal means run, run, go away, leave me. Right. And pennyroyal is like that. Pennyroyal is one of the most strongly scented of them. It's tiny plant. Pennyroyal is usually like 3 to 5 inches high, but it has the scent of a much bigger being. So flee, run away from me. Yeah, somebody gives you pennyroyal, you feel like running away. Peppermint is, I have a warm feeling about you. Rosemary. Well, we all know what rosemary is for, don't we? Because Shakespeare put it into our minds. Rosemary, says Ophelia, giving us break the Hamlet. That's for remembrance. And because remembrance means also to remember what we have promised, rosemary also means be true, be faithful, keep your promise. Sage, as we will see when we talk about sage, and which will be a couple of weeks from now, sage is the savior. And so sage is virtue. Sage is wisdom. We talk about the sage being. Sage is domestic happiness. Sage is the suffering and the giving that a parent does for the child. Sage is wisdom. Salvia blue, I think of you. Salvia red, forever thine. Spearmint, almost like peppermint. Spearmint means I have a sentimentally warm feelings about you. So I'm not quite sure which is more, come on, right? Peppermint or spearmint. I guess it depends a lot on the individual person. We're going to get to peppermint and spearmint, but not until actually our last week on the mints. And some will say, well, you're leaving the very best for last. And in a way, I certainly am. Especially if we say which of all of these mints is the one that is most used in the world, we're going to have to say it's peppermint. I personally really like peppermint, and I like a lot of different species and a lot of different breeds of peppermint. As you were saying, Gemini, perhaps you have even a few different peppermints, not just a few mints, but a few different peppermints. But I don't much like spearmint. To me, spearmint smells and tastes a little bit soapy. So I'm kind of thinking that spearmint is, I have a sentimental feeling for you. The way my mom feels for a child, the way an aunt feels for a niece, that kind of thing. Whereas the peppermint is, I have a really warm feeling for you. Perhaps in the modern day we might say, I'm feeling hot for you. And sweet basil. Well, we will find out when we talk about basil in a few months that the basilisk, which is a mythical, fierce being, is the basil, basilic, right? And oh, it's a very scary thing. And so when you give someone a piece of basil, it says, watch out, your enemy is near. I have very serious intentions about you. And these intentions are so serious that I want to look out for what is good for you. You can also give someone a sprig of basil, merely meaning best wishes in your hard time. Sweet marjoram, Oreganum marjorana, will be spending time with oregano and marjoram in January. Give someone a sprig, and it means happiness and joy, innocence and blushes. Do you love anyone yet? Oh, what a sweet little message. And interestingly enough, oregano is said to be a charm against witchcraft. And I think that there might be some deep and interesting psychological confusion there, since so many witches were accused of making love potions, and it certainly seems that sweet marjoram is to be considered a love potion here. So perhaps we're saying just use the sweet marjoram and don't go and ask the witch what she would use. And winter savory, the Staturia montana. The truth is bitter. What a piece of mint to give someone. The truth is bitter. So the scented mints are scented because they contain volatile oils. Let's right here make a clear distinction between volatile oils and essential oils. And I say this because I found in reading about many of the mint family plants that not all writers, even in quite scientific books, are clear in their writing and their usage of these terms, but they are in fact quite different. A volatile oil is a combination of oxygenated compounds and hydrocarbons as found in the plant. So when we say we love the smell of lemon balm, we mean we love the volatile oil of lemon balm. And when I say I don't like the taste of spearmint, I mean I don't like the volatile oils that are in spearmint. And when we say, oh my goodness, horehound tastes bitter, that has nothing to do with the volatile compounds in the horehound. That has to do with other compounds in the mint family. So volatile oils are present in the plants themselves and give many of the plants in the mint family their distinctive smells. Rosemary and sage, thyme and lavender, right, lemon balm and shiso, oregano and basil, and all of the different chocolate mints and orange mints and so on. All of these smells come from volatile oils. Now we can take those plants, fresh or dried, and we can run steam through them. And volatile oils will dissolve in water. They will actually dissolve in just about anything. Actually, we smell them because they dissolve in the air, right? That's what makes them volatile, that they outgas right into the air. So they dissolve in the air, they dissolve in water, they dissolve in alcohol, they dissolve in oil, they dissolve in honey. They're volatile. Run steam through a plant with volatile oils and then collect that steam and separate the oil from the water. So extract, concentrate, and then purify. And you have made an essential oil. It takes thousands of pounds of raw plant material to make even one small bottle of essential oil. Essential oils are extracted, concentrated, and purified, and those 3 steps are the 3 steps that we use to turn any plant at all that has active constituents into a drug. So please understand that when we're talking about the volatile oils in mint family, we are not talking about the essential oils. This is very, very important to keep clear, and I will come back to the same throughout our time together. One of the reasons is, as I said, I find that many authors, and even authors who should know better to their training, do not make a clear distinction between these terms. Essential oils are extremely concentrated and can indeed cause death, whereas volatile oils are not concentrated, and it is extremely rare that death can be caused by using any of the aromatic plants in the mint family, simply as plants. Now let's be clear. Volatile oils are poisons. They are one of the 4 classes of poisons in plants. The 4 kinds of poisons that we find in plants are alkaloids, glycosides, volatile oils, and resins. So volatile oils can harm us because they are poisonous, but on the other hand, almost everything that we eat or take contains some variety of poison, either an alkaloid or a glycoside or a resin or a volatile oil, and our bodies have adapted to be able to deal with these. The volatile oils are especially hard on the liver and the kidneys. For this reason, we don't want to use a preparation method that extracts a huge amount of the volatile oils from the plant. So if we're going to make a cup of lemon balm tea or peppermint tea, or if we're going to make a cup of tulsi tea or catnip tea, then we want to use a small amount of herb, and we want to brew it for a brief amount of time. Since the volatile oils come out while we're brewing the tea, if we want to keep the most volatile oils in our tea while we're brewing it, we will put our saucer on the cup. Volatile oils, as I've said, volatilize right out into the air. If we take catnip, for instance, and we hang fresh catnip to dry in a cool, shady place, we will usually lose about 25 to 30% of the volatile oil during the time it takes the catnip to dry. If we heat dry the catnip in a dehydrator, for instance, we will generally lose 50 to 70% of the volatile oil in the catnip because heat drives more of it off. Any of the aromatic mints will lose their aromas over time because even in their dried state, the volatile oils continue to volatilize. That is, they continue to move out into the air. So not only is it important to make the brew with the aromatic mint plant with a covered saucer, it's quite important to keep these volatile herbs as airtight as possible. These are the kinds of herbs that if we crush them up or we grind them up and we keep them in a glass bottle, they will hardly be worth anything in a very short time, within a few weeks or a month. But if we keep them whole and we keep them in a tightly closed tin, then they can retain their aromatic potency for a year, 2 years, on occasion, depending on the plant, even 3 or 4 years. Volatile oils are compounds found in many plants. Many of the plants in the mint family contain volatile oils. Volatile oils dissolve in the air, in water, in alcohol, in oil, and in honey. Terpene is the most common volatile oil, and terpenes occur in many forms. Monoterpenes are some of the most common terpenes, and of course, mono refers to the molecular structure, which we don't need to get into here. You will recognize some of these monoterpenes. They have names like menthol, camphor, thuone, azulene, and thymol. Let's look at these and see what they do. Menthol is a monoterpene, a volatile oil, which causes a chilling sensation on the skin. That, oh, I feel so cool sensation that we get when we take iced tea with mint in it comes from the menthol in the mint. If we use peppermint or spearmint or any of the true mints, any of the menthas, externally, we will also get a chilling sensation, and that, depending on the mint, can roll right into an analgesic pain-killing ability. Menthol is extracted as an essential oil and used in these ways. Again, remembering that the menthol in plants has these activities, but without dangerous or severe side effects, whereas using the extracted, concentrated, and purified drug, menthol, can have serious consequences, including convulsions, coma, and death. Menthol also causes dilation of the blood vessels. When we drink mint, we feel ourselves opening from the inside out. Or if we take a mint bath, again, we feel that dilation of our blood vessels. This can be a help to people who need circulatory help. Menthol is also antiseptic and anti-parasitic. And we will see as we move through these monoterpenes that many of them carry antiseptic and anti-parasitic qualities, making the mint family one that has been used worldwide for thousands and thousands of years to protect against foodborne pathogens. Another monoterpene is camphor. Camphor is an anti-inflammatory. It promotes salivation and digestive juices. Like menthol, it increases circulation. Camphor also affects the central nervous system and may induce drowsiness, but it is used to neutralize morphine and barbiturate overdoses. Camphor is found in plants like rosemary. It is one of the volatile oils in rosemary. I remember when I went away to camp as a young girl, one of the young girls in the bunkhouse had brought a bottle of camphor with her, which spilled in her suitcase, and our entire bunkhouse reeked of essential oil of camphor all summer long. Thuone. Thuone is a volatile oil found in a great many plants, from plants like cedar and juniper to many of the aromatic mints. Thuone is a carminative. Carmin means to sing, and a carminative that makes you sing from your other mouth, it is said, and antiseptic. And it is estrogenic. Thuone also invigorates the smooth muscles of the digestive system. And it is quite mentally soothing, even though it is invigorating to the gut. Azulene. Azulene, one of my favorite monoterpenes. It is blue. Oh, the essential oil made from either chamomile or yarrow of azulene. And again, remember, we are extracting concentrated and purifying. And the reason that we have to do that is that, as we'll see as we get into the individual mints, each one of these plants contains lots and lots and lots of different volatile oils. And when we pass that steam through the plant, we get all of the volatile oils. So we extract them, and then we concentrate them down, and then we have to purify and peel off the individual monoterpene unique things that we want from the plants to get these highly concentrated essential oils. Azulene has some very interesting qualities. It is used quite frequently in cosmetics, as are many of the mint family plants. And it also contains non-volatile sesquiterpenes, which are some interesting kinds of terpenes indeed. Thymol. Thymol, if you go in the bathroom and look on your mouthwash bottle, I bet you there's thymol in it. Thymol is a monoterpene, of course, found in thyme, and then extracted, concentrated, and purified for use in a great many oral care and hygiene products. In addition to menthol, camphor, thuyon, azulene, and thymol, you might also recognize these monoterpenes, some of which are found in the mint family and some of which are not. Limonene, citronella, and geraniol. And if you're thinking geraniol is mostly found in geraniums, you are absolutely right. These volatile oils in general are antiseptic. They are fungicidal, antiparasitic, insect repellent, and anthelmintic. The volatile oils in the aromatic mints can kill septic bacteria. The ones that are in the plants, yes, the essential oil can as well, but there are side effects and dangers to using the essential oil. The plants themselves have been the part that has mostly been used for thousands and thousands of years. When we talk about rosemary next week and sage the following week, we will see that both of these aromatic herbs have been used to preserve foods and a great variety of other things as well. They are not only antibacterial, being antiseptic, they are also antimicrobial and fungicidal. That means they kill funguses. Soaking one's feet, if you had a fungus on your toes or between your toes or on your toenails, in an aromatic mint, especially the two that we're going to get to in the next 2 weeks, rosemary or sage, can be a very good way to get rid of that fungus. They are antiparasitic as well, meaning they counter a great many parasites both internally and externally. And again, what you will find most people suggesting in terms of parasites is to use the essential oil. I strongly caution you against using any essential oil internally. I know that it is done, but it's not something that I want to subject my kidneys or my liver to. As we talk more specifically about these plants, and I talk about the side effects of their specific essential oils, you will come to have a deep appreciation and hopefully a deep fear of the use of essential oils, especially the way they are used nowadays. Insect repellents as well. We can use these direct plants as insect repellents. Catnip tincture, fresh flowering catnip, is said by the U.S. Army to be as effective as DEET. We don't need to use essential oils. Anthelmintic, this means they kill worms. Rather difficult to get members of the mint family to kill intestinal worms, but we'll talk about that mint by mint as we look at them. The mints are also, in general, carminative, antispasmodic, both sedative and stimulating, anti-inflammatory, and often quite astringent. Carminative, we already said carmen means to sing, and a carminative makes you sing through your other mouth. Antispasmodic means it counters spasms throughout the body, especially in smooth muscle tissue of the digestive system, and thus the cup of mint tea after a meal to help calm gas and to stop spasms in the intestines. That sedative action is what we're looking for there, but it's coupled with stimulating action to the organs of digestion so that there is, in fact, strengthening going on. And, of course, anti-inflammatory to help everything along the way. Volatile oils have strong effects on the mucous surfaces of the body and on the skin. Thus, anytime we are using an aromatic mint, we are going to have an effect on the respiratory system. We're going to have an effect on the digestive system. And we are often going to have an effect on the reproductive system as well, because all three of these systems are lined with mucus. The skin, of course, is the equivalent of that on the outside of our body. And so we will find that a great many of the aromatic mints have strong medicinal effects on the skin. Heart, I mentioned when we were going through the list of genera last week that many of the mints have been found to have interesting and health-giving effects on the heart, blood pressure, stopping palpitation, and a variety of things there. And I was quite fascinated to find that in ancient China, the aromatic mints were highly valued to help cure headaches. In an Ayurvedic medicine, as far back as we go in India, aromatic mints have been recommended to help deal with headaches. And throughout Europe, so far back as we can go back to ancient Greece, we find that the aromatic mints have been widely recommended to help cure headaches. Well, I hope I haven't given you a headache tonight, Gemini, and I hope, dear listeners, that you are helping us reweave the healing cloak of the ancients here with the magical, mystical mints.
Thank you, Susan. This concludes part 2 of our 20-part series, Marvelous Mints, The Wise Woman Way, with Susan Weed at Time Monk Radio.